Today we have a very special guest with us, Parth Suba. What made you transition into this consulting role?
I think so. It was quite an experience working in-house and agency side. But what I thought was I wanted to have more control over my work and the value I provide to my clients. So
Before asking that question, would like to really want to know that how you landed your first client as a consultant, right? I guess that story would make a lot of sense because it's very difficult to get a first one.
yeah, having a full-time job and consistent income is always kind of a comfort zone, and it's not that easy to move to consulting. So coming back to the question of how did I get my first client? So it's an interesting story.
Great. How did you manage your first quote, Parth? I guess I have heard a lot of time people asking me the same thing. How do you quote a quotation or something to the first, and when you're entering into this market?
I think so. Consulting pricing model changes from consultant to consultant. But what has worked for me is
Himanshu.
So, like, what are the biggest challenges that you faced, especially working with clients outside of India? Uh, because
there are two sides of challenges. One is personal side. One is working with the client. So I think so.
organically. So, when did you actually start actively building your brand on social media, and which platforms have been the most useful for you?
I think so.
Having less number of followers but more number of interacting users or followers are better than having huge number of followers and then
Yeah,
less number of active users on a platform, right? On your post. So I guess it makes sense in that way, right?
yeah. And once you post on LinkedIn, like the first couple of hours, like first 2 to 3 hours, if we specifically talk about the Indian SEO scene here, uh, very few. So like almost everyone has that enough savings that they can travel abroad and attend a conference.
Correct.
But like you need to figure out your way and how do you want to like kind of spend your money and get into that international conference circuit. But yeah, the ROI has been pretty well so far.
And we want to know that how was your experience as a speaker at Brighton? How was it like?
At that point of time, like I just had like a savings of 150,000 INR rupees, and it was a question whether I should. It was a
Yeah,
fantastic.
especially for a first time speaker, I
Yeah.
think that'll be very.
Was this the first time you were speaking on a stage?
Yes, this was first time for me. Yeah, even I never
I guess
realized
that
it.
So, but you've been actively have been a participant in the Indian SEO community scene as well as you have international exposure as well. So, do you see any differences, or is there any differences in terms of when you speak to people or in what they discuss, or how is it like? Is it very similar to what we experience? Say something like a lager fest, or is it a little more different? Obviously, conferences are very different from like meetups or stuff. But are there any stark differences?
Recently attended the HF Singapore, HF World Singapore, and Brighton SEO USA in San Diego.
Mhm.
So it was quite a journey learning, like not only attending Brighton SEO,
Mhm.
but how to figure out as an Indian to get US visa, get approvals, how to
Correct,
prepare
correct,
for it,
correct.
which flights to take, where to go, how to travel within the US.
Mhm.
There are a lot of logistical challenges as well when you are going to the
True,
US for the
true.
first time.
But how do you see the SQL landscape changing in the, let's say, in the next 2 3 years? Because
Moving from traditional link building to digital PR is going to be the future
Mhm.
because the tools that I don't see many SEOs use out there is content.
Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of SEO Unfiltered. Today we have a very special guest with us, Parth Suba. He has over 10 years of experience in SEO and has been featured on SEMrush, has been a speaker at Brighton, has worked with companies like InVideo, and recently he's uh, quit his full time job to do consulting full time. So we are excited to understand Path's journey so far. How is his consulting thing going on, as well as understanding how our his experience has been with international conferences and more. So really excited. Thank you so much, Path, for joining us. Why don't you start by introducing yourself a bit, and probably we can take it from there.
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Himanshu. Thanks for having me and thanks for inviting me. You are a gracious host as always. So we're good friends, Himanshu and Aditya. So why not record this when we are meeting in Bangalore? So
Exactly.
it's the best time. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a decade since I've been working in the SEO field and working in-house as well as agency side. It's been a roller coaster ride so far, but learning bits of consulting and going through this journey. Excited for this podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. Uh, so, what made you transition into this consulting role? I mean, usually, like we are into full time roles. Uh, there's often a worry with like in terms of stability, in terms of this. So how is it? How has it been for you? Like and your journey so far? And why did you make this move?
I think so. It was quite an experience working in-house and agency side. But what I thought was I wanted to have more control over my work and the value I provide to my clients. So I wanted to started this journey a couple of years back, but yeah, finally I'm here. It's been like now close to a year since I've been consulting,
Okay.
and there are a lot of challenges, but yeah, uh, it's been a ride.
So, when you started, how did you get your initial clients? And I remember you mentioned ki a majority of them is not from India. You get clients from outside India. So, what helped you get these clients? What has worked for you when it comes to like acquiring these clients?
I believe before asking that question, would like to really want to know that how you landed your first client as a consultant, right? I guess that story would make a lot of sense because it's very difficult to get a first one.
Yeah.
If you take that path, would love to take that story from hear the story from you.
And also, like, at what point did you quit your job? Because like for our users, we also don't want to promote ki bhai, you like quit your job
Yeah,
unless you have few retainer clients or anything, right? It might be very risky that way. So how is it?
yeah. Having a full-time job and consistent income is always kind of a comfort zone, and it's not that easy to move to consulting. So I've been doing a lot of community efforts running the SEO talk show, and
Correct.
uh, I've attended Brighton SEO twice in the past as well in the UK.
Mhm.
So all of this networking and my personal branding on Twitter and LinkedIn has helped me gain a lot of traction,
Okay.
and a lot of clients have been reaching out to me off lately.
So organically.
Organically, it's all inbound.
Mhm.
So that's how I was getting a lot of freelance work. But now it was like I wanted to do more of strategy work rather than execution. So I can probably focus and build my own business kind of thing. So I wanted to focus more on sales. So coming back to the question of how did I get my first client? So it's an interesting story. Like I went to the Brighton in 2022 while I was speaker there, and once I returned back, that client reached out to me. So every quarter, I used to consult for him. And
Okay.
eventually, he wanted me to onboard as a full time consultant.
Oh,
And
nice.
that's how I thought, like, I do have some consistent income. And now I can take that risk, I can take that plunge and move from a full time role to consulting.
Great, great. How did you manage your first quote, Parth? I guess I have heard a lot of time people asking me the same thing. How do you quote a quotation or something to the first, and when you're entering into this market? So, do you know and do you have any points on that, like how to quote someone for the first time?
Like, is it per hour or how do you?
I think so. Consulting pricing model changes from consultant to consultant. But what has worked for me is hourly consultation I've been doing. So there are a lot of new inquiries, new leads coming through LinkedIn and Twitter. So all of those I diverted through TopMate and they book my hourly calls.
Oh.
But when I am connected with a client for a longer period of time, the
Mhm.
model which works for me is like we have identified a problem statement
Mhm.
which we are going to solve in next 6 months or 12 months or whatever time frame.
Okay.
So I commit like 20 hours a month, so 1 hour a day or
Mhm.
40 hours a month. So that is how we work daily. Like they have their own execution team. I kind of work with their execution team, make sure that they are following their roadmap, the strategy is being followed, and if they need any help along the way, whether it's hiring, whether it's the strategy, whether they have been hit by any core updates or SEO updates or anything like that, so they take my consultation and they want to make sure that their team is moving in the right direction, because there are a lot of updates coming from Google, so that is where it gets difficult for them. So they are onboarding a specialist, they want to make sure that they have two opinions and they are moving in the right direction.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much, Parth, for that. Himanshu.
So, like, what are the biggest challenges that you faced, especially working with clients outside of India? Uh, because I what I personally feel is obviously the Indian SEO community or people look at Indians in a different way. To be honest, so were they? What were the challenges you initially faced?
Oh, great question. I think so. There are two sides of challenges. One is personal side, one is working with the client. So I think so. The way they communicate for a particular project and how they set the expectations, and they follow a particular process, and they want us to be proactive and keep them informed week over week and just not get lost. So that is what their expectation is. Even if some of my clients are consulting like once a week or once a month, they want me to be proactive and give them alerts and stuff like that. So the expectation and the communication culture is way different. That is what I have seen.
Okay. So like weekly reporting or something.
I guess probably managing multiple clients at the same time, that too from a different niches, will be difficult, right?
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. Yeah, the personal challenge of consulting is like you have a call with a client in a B2C SaaS from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., and then 6 p.m. you're going for the next call, which is like with an e-commerce client, altogether different geography, different industry. So it gets a little difficult of doing like context switching, because different challenges, different problems, and like you are planning and addressing those challenges.
Right. I guess two things clearly coming from it. One, a good side of it is that you get to learn a lot of things because you work in different niches. But pain point will be managing everything at the same time and keeping, making sure you're not, telling like one problem statement to other client and mixing it with other client. I guess that's a challenge, but you have been doing it well so far, so that's great.
Yeah, I think so. One more thing to add here, like every client has their own set of tools they want to work on communication. So some prefer Zoom, some prefer Google Meet, some work on Microsoft Teams, some work on Slack, and some are HF fans, some are SEMrush. So whatever tools they have been using, so we have to kind of streamline with their process and also give recommendations. So that's a challenge where like you play around. So you have to be very versatile while you are consulting.
Any tools do you use to manage this?
Currently, I'm using Basecamp and Slack. That's my primary.
Interesting.
So, Parth, you mentioned that your personal branding really helped you get these clients once you started looking out for them, and most of them came organically. So, when did you actually start actively building your brand on social media,
Hmm.
and which platforms have been the most useful for you?
I think so. I started attending the SEO Talk Twitter chat back in 2016 as an attendee. So I was
Okay,
doing
okay.
it for like 6 months continuously. And then the hosts identified that one fine day I was in Goa, and on a Monday evening from Goa, I was attending the SEO Talk Twitter chat.
Okay.
And he was like curious, damn, like I saw your posts on Facebook. At that time, Facebook was the game.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you're roaming around in Goa and still you're attending SEO Talk chat, and I'm like, yeah. So he's like, now you seem to be dedicated. Like, do you want to join and be part of the SEO Talk core committee? And I'm like, why not? And that's how I joined SEO Talk community in July 2017.
Okay.
And since then, it's been like almost 7 8 years. I've been co-hosting. We moved from the Twitter chat format to the audio format.
Mhm.
So one is SEO Talk, and
Yeah.
back in 2019, I took like that plunge of going and attending an international conference,
Correct.
figuring out how to find like how to get the UK visa and maneuvering through all the challenges. So it was quite a journey to reach there, and I would want to give credits to Craig Campbell, who was very kind enough to host me around in 2019 April when I went to attend the Brighton SEO for the first time.
Nice.
So yeah, the journey has been like building genuine relationships with Western SEO professionals from UK, from US. So that has helped me, and yeah, all of these efforts adding value to the community through Twitter. But now, after the Musk guy has taken over the Twitter, like I think so, the algorithm has
Yeah, the
changed.
reach is like shit now.
It's shit. Like I tried experimenting it with like paying with a blue tick and all of that, but still it's not worth the effort. So now LinkedIn is going like LinkedIn is doing very
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have any fixed schedule in terms of posts? And like you clearly mentioned that you generally focus on making genuine connections, right? Oftentimes, when we talk about brand building, it's all mostly about okay, hey, I have like I just checked your LinkedIn, you have 9,000 followers, but a lot of times when people say brand building, they see oh I have 50,000. That's when they think that it's useful enough. So, uh, what's your take on that? Because obviously you're favoring the other side, and I am assuming that's more beneficial in terms of like it's equally enough for somebody to get good clients or anything like in terms of events or anything, right?
Yeah. So I have a contrarian opinion here. I
Okay.
don't believe in posting on LinkedIn like daily,
Okay.
but I generally post when there's a story which I can share with my audience,
Okay.
and I generally don't prefer to share screenshots of GSC and case studies and all of that. But I try to share my journey as an SEO, whatever events I'm attending or whatever some funny incidents that happen along the way. So that's how I prefer posting on LinkedIn. I think so. Being genuine and like posting once or twice a week is good. I think so. People, I've been observing like posting daily is like kind of getting overwhelming around LinkedIn, and yeah, I'm kind of getting like 3,000 reach for some of my posts.
Impressions.
Yeah, impressions is in the range of 2,500 to 3,000, and the
Nice.
members reached is around 3,500. So
Okay.
it's pretty like I find it like decent when I post less, probably once a week. But I've experimented it in the past. Like so, last time I was in Brighton SEO San Diego, and I was posting on Twitter, but it was not giving me reach. So I diverted all my energy. And I was posting like Twitter on LinkedIn, and I got a lot of feedback like, "Why are you posting all the photos on Twitter?" But yeah, that was my experiment. Like if
Yeah,
it
yeah.
works for me or not. But yeah, LinkedIn is always about experimenting.
Correct. True. I think you rightly mentioned कि you don't need to post every day, and like a lot of times we also. I mean, there are a lot of people who post on LinkedIn around SEO. So a lot of time it's also like okay another post from him, like it's not because I don't value his content but or her content, but then you also have in your mind ki there's another post. So I feel ki, and especially when you're starting out, I think you need to focus on quality as well. Obviously it might take some time for people to yeah, and I also feel ki especially like for me like usually I can drive about like usually I post my content like a video or a YouTube video or a post. Usually it drives around 50 clicks or something, right? And oftentimes what I've seen is the click ratio and the like ratio might not be same. So I don't think I think people shouldn't fret about the likes and comments
Yeah,
or something, and they should understand that people are watching your stuff or reading it or listening it. Even passively they wouldn't show it, but probably when you meet them, I'm sure that a lot of people might have told you, "Oh, I follow you on." But you might not seen his comment
yeah,
or something, but somehow the readers are engrossed or they are understanding and benefiting from it.
yeah,
I guess it is same thing with the followers as well, right? Like having less number of followers but more number of interacting users or followers are better than having huge number of followers and then
yeah,
less number of active users on a platform, right? On your post. So I guess it makes sense in that way, right?
yeah. I think so. Whatever I've been observing about LinkedIn content is if you get reposts with thoughts and reposts on your post, that is one of the metrics that. And once you post on LinkedIn, like the first couple of hours, like first like 2 to 3 hours, is very important that if you get engagement. So I've seen a lot of people getting really good engagement. So there's a very uh, uh, like it's kind of a best practice to follow. Like if you have a community of 100 people, 500 people, if you post on LinkedIn and if you post that particular LinkedIn post link on your WhatsApp or Slack community,
Mm-hmm.
and you if you drive that first second hour of engagement, you can make that post a little viral kind of thing.
Class,
So
yeah.
yeah, that has been working, and it's working across the platform, but LinkedIn also.
Yeah, I think that works for every social media. The initial and also we'll have to understand that LinkedIn, compared to something like a Twitter, the post life is more than, I think, a couple of days at
Yeah,
least. So that also, I mean, if you're posting daily, which means that somehow you are reducing your reach of the previous post.
correct. I think so. LinkedIn is a professional network, and I can see that if you look at the Western countries, UK and the US, like people generally use LinkedIn when they're in the office or in the office hours generally. So this has been like if someone misses the post today, they might check it out tomorrow, and if someone comments tomorrow, the other person, the second degree person, will
Correct.
be able. So it's a 2 to 3 day effect at least. That is what I have seen so far.
Hmm. Any time schedule you follow, like anything that has worked for you, like?
I think so. For me, it's 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. zone is where I
Okay.
post, and I'm getting the most engagement.
Hmm.
I tried with the early morning thing as well
Hmm.
and late evening as well, but I think so.
That works best for
That
you.
works for me.
And
Yeah,
I think that'll also help in getting traction from outside India as well, because the
yeah. Other
time
time
zone.
zones also I can align. So by the time they are up, they'll see the post.
Which days also matter in this? Like you have a specific day as well to post, or any day 12 to 3 is fine.
I think so. For me, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays have been working really well,
True.
and for some posts where the tone is very funny, light. I think so. I post on
Weekends.
Friday or Saturday also.
Oh, nice.
That works. If it's some weekend project or something like that, like you can post on Friday, Saturday as well.
Yeah, I think there are very contrary opinions on weekends. Some people say people are more free, they'll
Yeah,
visit it. Uh, but yeah, it depends. I feel, but yeah, as you truly mentioned, LinkedIn is the place for
yeah,
doing experiments. Lately, what I've seen is normal post links don't work at all. So please avoid using post links. uh, Usually something like, usually if I need to just add an image also, what I do is I convert it into a GIF. That works better than an image, because obviously we know that LinkedIn promotes videos. Now vertical video is also very big in
yeah.
LinkedIn. They have another this thing. So I think, yeah, these things will definitely help. um Part, you mentioned that because of your personal brand you got a lot of clients. Are there any examples or any other wins that helped you due to your personal brand? Anything, any stories you have to share? Anything?
Think so. If we specifically talk about the Indian SEO scene here,
Uh-huh.
uh, very few, so like almost everyone has that enough savings that they can travel abroad and attend a conference.
Correct.
But like you need to figure out your way and how do you want to like kind of spend your money and get into that international conference circuit. But yeah, the ROI has been pretty well so far. Like it's doing good for me at least. But I think so. I recommend everyone to at least attend one conference outside India, and you get to know a lot of other SEOs, their practices, what SOPs they follow, what are their benchmarks of delivering their work. So everything is a learning, and the talks are also very detailed, and they are not like kind of sales promotions, but there are a lot of workshops as well going on. So that is one thing, and yeah.
Okay. So you brought the conference bit, and that's something we wanted to deep dive as well. So what motivated you to go in the first place? Because as you mentioned rightly, that a lot of people can do it, can afford going to it there, but we know that there are a very handful of people who actually do that. So what motivated you to start attending international SEO conferences? And we want to know that how was your experience as a speaker at Brighton? How was it like?
So it was late 2018. while I got to know about Brighton SEO,
Okay.
and at that point of time, like I just had like a savings of 150,000 INR rupees, and it was a question whether I should kind of empty my bank balance and go. And then I figured out my way. I have one of my far family members staying in the UK,
Okay.
and I figured out my way and went there. So that was my first time in April 2019 attending Brighton SEO. But then after I took a break, I came back. I worked with a couple of clients from the UK, freelance with them while I was doing my full time job, and I found out like how they approach their work, how they do outsource their work, and how to work with them. What is the right way to create a balance? And after kind of a break of like 2.5 years, it was just start of COVID, and they floated a form around on LinkedIn that
Okay.
if you want to apply to speak. I filled up that form and I was selected. But that particular edition was the April 2022 edition.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I didn't get my visa on time. So
Oh,
I requested
shit.
them and I moved my slot to October 2022.
Okay.
And yeah, I went there. I was a speaker. So there was an audience of like 350 people in the
350.
yeah in that and that was one of the smaller stage.
Okay.
It's
So
it's
there were
a
multiple this
multiple
thing
parallel tracks.
happening. Okay.
Yeah, the main stage was like 1500 2000 people.
Okay.
The smaller stages were like 300 to 500 people audience.
Okay.
So went there, and my particular panel was moderated by Becky Sims from Reflect Digital, and she was
Okay.
very kind to guide me through. And they are very friendly. They help me like how do you go on stage, how do you prepare. And yeah, it was. And before that, even before that, before I went to Brighton, like helping me prepare the deck, what are the
Nice.
best practices, and it was really like a piece of a cake, very straightforward, and everything is like process driven for them.
Nice. Nice.
They've been doing this for quite a long time. So it was a
Yeah,
fantastic.
especially for a first time speaker, I
Yeah.
think that'll be very.
Was this the first time you were speaking on a stage?
Yes, this was first time for me. Yeah, even I never
I guess
realized it. Yeah, that was my first time speaking on stage, and
speaking for the first time in front of 350 people. That
yeah,
takes a
Yeah.
lot of courage. So
Correct.
yeah, I
True.
was rehearsing in the hotel day before, and the day of the first day of the event when I was speaking, and I just went on the stage. I got my 20 minutes, but I finished in like around 12 to 14 minutes, and
Nice.
yeah, it was a surreal experience. Like, but it requires a lot of preparation
I'm
because
sure you must have watched a lot of YouTube videos how to
yeah, a
speak.
lot of YouTube videos, a lot of blogs at the time I had read that how to
Yeah.
go. And but yeah, there were a couple of my friends who were sitting in the front rows,
Nice.
kind of
Cheering.
cheering me up, nodding while I was speaking. So that was quite helpful. And that's the thing. Like while you go to this conference, like some of the conferences I attend and some of the talks, because there are parallel tracks going on. So while I'm attending, also I make sure that when one of my friend is speaking on stage, I'm sitting in that front row, I'm capturing their videos, I'm promoting them, I'm nodding and I'm helping and I'm cheering up. So they feel confident and they have a couple of known faces to look at, and they feel confident while they're speaking. So this is one of the things. It's a two-way
It's a.
effect.
I think it's a very small thing, but it helps a lot.
Yeah.
Like, true. That's there. So thank you. Uh. So you've mentioned like how and why it's important to attend these conferences, and like obviously I think one key takeaway would be to like you mentioned before even getting clients, you truly understood how they work, because then you can know how we need to pitch rather than just going and blatantly like doing a hard sell. It's important that understand how I fit into their workflow so that they're also more eager to kind of onboard you. And so how has this international exposure influenced your approach to SEO compared to the normal Indian perspective, market perspective? Because obviously things are a little different here. So how it has helped you in terms of your approach to SEO? You've mentioned that you are more process driven, because that's something they want, like weekly updates, etc., right? They want where they are at. So how what are the other things that has influenced?
So currently, almost 70 to 80% of my clients are from US and Canada.
Okay.
But some of the clients I'm working are also Indian clients. So
Okay.
what has helped me is like put forward my skill set and my experience, and I can charge for it. And
Mm-hmm.
because I have international exposure,
Correct.
and because my personal branding is out there on LinkedIn and
Yeah.
Twitter,
Yeah.
they value my work and they are ready to pay. So the buy-in process for Indian clients has been really smooth for me after getting international exposure. So that is one thing I would want to share here.
Nice. So, Bart, you've been actively have been a participant in the Indian SEO community scene, as well as you have international exposure as well. So, do you see any differences, or is there any differences in terms of when you speak to people, or in what they discuss, or how is it like? Is it very similar to what we experience? Say something like a Lager Fest, or is it a little more different? Obviously, conferences are very different from like meetups or stuff. But how? What are there any stark differences?
What I have observed is Indian community is very experimenting, and like Indian SEO community wants to learn every facet of SEO.
Okay.
Uh, if they are into e-commerce SEO and if
Mhm.
they want to know something around SaaS SEO
Okay.
or anything else, like they would like jump onto that bandwagon. But what I've seen in the international SEO audience and where I've been in those communities, so they have been very specific in their industry. Like if they are doing e-commerce SEO, they just do that and they are like excellent in their job.
Mhm.
So they don't venture into other. They are very focused and they nail in what they do. So that has been one approach, and they are very data driven and process driven. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I guess it's a case of generalist versus specialist. So in India, we have a lot of generalists,
correct.
whereas
Yeah, yeah.
in West, it's more of a specialist game.
Okay. Okay. So, but what do you think? It's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think so. They sometimes I feel they are not open to adapt and learn from other
They,
industries.
as in the Indian.
The foreign,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Huh.
But the Indian community scene is, but when they are specialized and when they onboard a project or when they are working with a client, like they they only onboard when they are 100% sure that they can deliver.
Mhm.
While Indians are little experimenting, little kind of they have this
I think it's in the blood.
yeah,
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 I
Keep.
guess this journalist thing is working well in India is another. It's working well for Indian SEOs
Mhm.
because even in companies, right? There are very few companies who are looking for a specialist. Like you should own a experience in e-commerce or SaaS. No, SaaS is a
yeah.
different industry, but apart from SaaS, I guess if you're working in any D2C,
Mhm.
they are okay to have you on board. And
Yeah, what I've seen, like the companies in the West, they have special departments for web analytics, for technical SEO. So if you want to get a screaming frog report, like you only need to reach out to a single person
Okay.
who can get you. Other folks don't know how to run a screaming frog. Like
Mhm.
we as Indians, like we use all the tools, like content marketing tools, SEO tools, and every other tool.
Correct. Correct.
So sometimes I think so we have an edge over them, but having that level 2 deep knowledge of what field, like what particular field you are in,
Mhm.
is also plays a very important role.
Mhm. Correct. So, have you faced any challenges, like when you started out the whole? Because or do you have any way of pitching or something? Uh, has it been a problem for you, especially like, okay, hey, I only do e-commerce. So how do you usually approach that?
So when I started with a generalist approach.
Okay.
Now I have like kind of niche down into like I only consult like SaaS and e-commerce clients.
Okay.
So that has helped me. Uh, and being very specific when you pitch and
Hmm.
showing case studies around those campaigns help
Yeah,
you
past work.
yeah, past
Mhm.
work, that helps you convert. If you showcase as a generalist, like they'll have a lot of questions and the conversion drops there. That's what I've been observing.
Got it. So, uh, like coming back to the personal branding bit, uh, do you see any type of post working for you in terms of like how do you approach, like in terms of like sometimes you might be like you mentioned, like sometimes on weekends or on Fridays you have very light-hearted thing, right? I've seen multiple posts where it's nothing to do with any knowledge sharing or anything. It's just your own way of sharing few tidbits or on your journey. So do you see specific type of post working, or is it like
Yeah, I think so. Interesting question. So there are a lot of friends in the SEO
Mhm.
scene here, and there have been ex-colleagues who have been curious about my journey, like how
Okay.
I have been attending conferences.
Mhm.
So I prefer sharing my journey generally.
Okay.
And off lately, I've been getting a lot of questions like, how do you get the visa done? How do you attend the SEO? How do you fill
Mhm.
that form to
Correct,
get on the
correct, correct.
speaker list and all of that?
Yeah.
So I think so. Like, if you folks are interested, I can do a video, or probably we can collab again.
Yes,
And
we definitely need
yeah,
one
so
video
please
on
comment down
US
below,
visa.
and we'll get some content
Yeah,
out.
yeah, definitely. If a lot of
Yeah,
people reaches out to us, and then probably we can do it
I
over
guess you have
Zoom or something.
recently attended Ashraf meetup in US, right?
yeah.
And I'm
So
right in US as well, so we definitely need a video around US visa.
sure. I think so.
Yeah, the next one is in USA trips.
Yeah. So recently attended the HF Singapore, HF Evolve Singapore, and Brighton SEO USA in San Diego.
Mhm.
So it was quite a journey learning, like not only attending Brighton SEO,
Mhm.
but how to figure out as an Indian to get US visa, get approvals, how to
Correct,
prepare
correct,
for it,
correct.
which flights to take, where to go, how to travel within the US.
Mhm.
There are a lot of logistical challenges as well when you are going to the
True,
US for the
true.
first time. So yeah, happy to share it with the community and
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Let us definitely know.
Yeah,
If you want a video around US visa.
correct. Lastly, Parth, we covered your personal branding. You, how did you get into consulting? What are the pros? What are the cons? How do you approach it? And a lot of useful tips there. Lastly, we wanted to understand how do you think like SEO is at a point where, I mean, I feel in the last even like from 10 years also every year it's like SEO is dead, SEO is dead. That's been a constant thing that's going on. But how do you see the SEO landscape changing in the, let's say, in the next 2 3 years? Because obviously we don't know ahead, but still, what do you think? Like how the the SEO landscape will change? What do you think?
I think so. With the advent of LLMs and AI tools,
Mm-hmm.
the informational content is changing a lot, and informational content is getting kind of penalized, not penalized, but there's a zero click nature.
Yeah,
So
correct.
recently we have seen HubSpot, like a lot of
Yeah, a lot of traffic.
starkly different content was hit. So I think so we have to break down informational content into sub intents. Like informational was one of the intents that we are focusing,
Mhm.
but if we break it down into conversational intent or get the job done intent, like what people search on LLMs and what is their intent, and if we break down those sub intents and kind of plan our content strategy accordingly, then it should help. Apart from this, I think so there's been this transition going on for a long period of time. Like UK has been on the forefront of it,
Okay.
moving from traditional link building to digital PR. It's been like close to 4 or 5 years they've been doing digital PR,
Okay.
and then it's the US. They have also adapted to it like last 2 to 3 years.
Mhm.
So moving from traditional link building to digital PR is going to be the future,
Mhm.
because as we can see now, the answers on LLMs, you need to build your brand authority, you
Correct.
need to
Correct.
get brand mentions. So backlinks, I'm not saying backlinks doesn't matter,
Mhm.
but the weightage of brand mentions on authority publications and digital PR is
Mhm.
going to matter to rank on Google AI reviews or Bing answers or ChatGPT or whatever.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I guess when someone asks me that is SEO dead, I say yes. The SEO you were doing is dead. You have to unlearn
Yeah,
the old SEO.
that's a perfect
You
analogy.
have to unlearn the old SEO and learn the new one. So it's evolving. It's evolving from last 10 years, and
Yeah.
it will keep on evolve. You have to learn the old SEO will die always, and you have to learn the new SEO coming up, right? So that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah, definitely. And I think even like yesterday, like in one of the slides, Samrush showed ki chat gpt in terms of the traffic or in terms of volume, it's beaten Bing, right? Which is, I feel, the second most
Yeah,
popular search engine. So it's also like interesting times, and obviously we can do a like it's all about, I think, evolving, understanding, being the
I
yeah.
was having a word with one of our industry mate, right, who is a head of SEO at a very big organization, and we just got to know a good tip from him that how to rank on ChatGPT answers. So
okay.
if you guys are interested, we can have that guy
Yeah,
on
sure.
board and
Please comment down below.
help you how to rank on ChatGPT for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think yesterday a lot of people were just very, very interested in knowing ki how do you rank on LLMs. That's the next chapter of growth they see for
Yeah,
their website, for their brand. Uh, Parth, before we wrap up, do you have any tools? Do you have any tips, any tricks you want to share with the community? Anything that has worked for you of late, and which is something that people might often overlook, or maybe they don't know about it?
I think so. Of lately, I've started using Spark Toro for audience research because
Okay.
I'll not say that the first principles of SEO is changing, but
Mm-hmm.
now you need more understanding about your audience,
Mm-hmm.
their digital touch points, and the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Other set of tools that I've been using is Screaming Frog, Ahrefs,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the tools that I don't see many SEOs use out there is Content King. So I
Okay.
track a lot of on-page changes through Content King,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, been experimenting with Gumloop for a couple of
Gumloop.
AI automations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm heading.
Nice.
I guess just one last thing for Parth. Two pros and cons of doing consulting full time versus in-house SEO.
Oh, that's an interesting one. So two pros: you get to choose your client who you want to work with,
Okay.
and
With client, you mean industry
yeah,
type
yeah,
of company you want to work for?
correct, correct. And even I would say there are some clients who are very kind of spooky in the nature, like they keep on following, and so you get to choose your clients, you get to choose your
Mhm.
battles. That's one pro.
Okay.
The second thing is there's a lot of flexibility uh, of how you want to time your efforts and time you want to manage your time. So you can do a lot of other things on personal branding. You can do a lot of other community level efforts as well, and you can go around the world and attend conferences, because it's important to stay updated, meet new folks, and learn from them across the borders. So those are the two pros, I think so. And the two major challenges, the very first is there's no consistent, stable, linear income.
Okay.
So you need to look at your income in quarter by quarter. Like, don't look at like monthly income, because earlier you were working full time, you were getting monthly salary.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you shouldn't look at monthly salaries.
yeah.
Like, you should average it out over quarters.
I
And
guess that's a drug we all are addicted to.
Yeah,
yeah,
correct.
and the second con, I think so, is again like context switching, and the whole tool set changes.
Mhm.
So tool stack tech stack changes for while we are consulting the client, so what tools they are using.
Mhm.
So yeah, it totally depends.
Great. Yep. Thank you so much, Parth, for
Cool.
sharing that.
Thank you so much, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Please
it's been
subscribe
wonderful.
to SEO Unfiltered, and please like, comment, and share.
Yeah, I think it was really beautiful talking to you, understanding. I think our users would really benefit from it. And see, thank you so much, Parth.
Thank you for having